And now, for the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Welcome to the Red Brick Rubicon, an undergraduate PolyU podcast hosted by the ELC, created by students for our local community. I'm Mabel. I'm a Year 3 occupational therapy student. With me is...
Hello everyone, I'm Ernie, a Year 3 student in biomedical engineering, and this episode is all about PolyU Racing and racing in Hong Kong.
From the hallowed asphalts of Monaco to the high-banked ovals of Indianapolis, from the dusty deserts of Dakar to the digital grids of esports, racing is a global language united by speed and skills. But what does it take to compete? What are the game rules? And how does one get into racing?
And with us here today are members from the PolyU E-Formula racing team, Oscar and Chester. Welcome.
Welcome! So, before we start, I didn't know that we had a racing team at PolyU. Should we introduce that first?
Yeah, actually, PolyU E-Formula Racing Team is the first Formula Racing team in Hong Kong.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the you can't say it's a Formula Racing team. It's Formula Student Racing Team. Yeah, because the category is different and the car is different. So we are the first Formula Student team in Hong Kong, and we have participated in the FS UK, Formula Student UK, and also the Formula Student Electric China. Yes.
Okay, so hello, I'm Chester. I'm the vehicle dynamics lead in the PolyU E-Formula racing team. And so what we do in Formula student competitions, it's not like a conventional race when you race with each other on tracks. So it's more like a engineering event or an engineering competition, because we design and then we build the cars by ourselves, by other students, and then we compete to. There are two parts of the competition. The first part is going to be static, so the judges they kind of like measure and then check your design for your car, and then the dynamic event is going to be when the cars are going onto the track, and then they're going to set a lap time, and it's going to affect the final results of the competition.
So did you guys join this team because of your love for racing? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm curious about what made you guys so passionate about racing in general?
Actually, it's we need to go back to my childhood, and my dad always drive me around with the Subaru, and the main part for me to have the passion for racing is because of the engine sound, and I'm kind of an engineering guy and I love the engine sound, especially for the turbo engine.
Like
also, the sound, and really enjoy it, and kind of addicted to it. Yes.
Well, for me, I grew up in a family that it's more like involved in racing, or maybe just fixing the cars. And because my grandfather, he always takes me onto drives, and then he always gives me those kind of car models to play with. So I've been immersed into a car environment since I was young, and then I'm now very passionate about racing and cars.
So both of you were exposed to the culture from a young age, right?
Yes.
I wonder if the movies play a role in your passion for racing. For example, the recently released Formula One movie. Do you think these movies are realistic at all?
Yes, absolutely. For the Formula One movie, actually is too new.
Right.
Yeah. But for me to really get into racing is by the movie called Initial D.
Oh, I've
which
heard of that.
yeah. Those are some really famous movie also around the world and also in Hong Kong. And that kind of movie is more kind of street racing stuff, but not regulated racing.
Oh, speaking of street racing, so those are the guys with the roaring engines outside my window at 2 a.m., right?
Yeah.
But like, how did this street racing culture start here in Hong Kong? Why did the people start doing it?
I think we need to go back to 1980s, and at that moment there's only a few speed camera, and also the cars like JDM, like
Japanese domestic market cars.
Those Japanese car like Toyota, Mazda, and like Honda. Those cars are really famous and not really expensive like nowadays cars, and people enjoy driving that car on the street, and you can easily go over the speed limit and don't really have the speed ticket at the moment.
Yeah,
compared
the
to
law
now.
wasn't strict.
Yeah. Also the police are not really not that much police compared to now, and so easy to do illegal things. Yes. At that moment. So
Another thing, apart from the lack of speed cameras in the past, another major factor, it's going to be the Macau Grand Prix. So actually Macau Grand Prix started 72 years ago. So it's in the 1950s, right? And then it brings the car culture, well, apart from Japan, it's the Greater Bay Area. It's one of the places that has they had the earliest car culture. Well, apart from Japan, so it brings the car culture into the Greater Bay Area.
But Macau Grand Prix races on the streets, right? Now, how is it different from like just purely street racing?
So Macau Grand Prix, well, it's regulated by a governing body which regulates all the races around the world. It's called the FIA. So, well, as you've mentioned, the movie F1, F1 is also regulated by the FIA. So it's the biggest governing body for motorsports. So, yeah, and so there's a lot of safety regulations and all the background rules. It's they govern it. They make up the rules. So it's safer and it's more of a legal alternative to street racing.
It's a lot safer than
Yes.
street racing. Yeah. Speaking of the F1 movies, like in the movie we see like the drivers adjust something on the steering wheel. It's like the dials and buttons. Why don't we have those on the street car? What do they do?
actually, different cars have different function for the buttons. Yeah, some car maybe a TC like traction control and auto brake system. Yeah, you can adjust that on the race car, but you can also adjust it in the street car, but not on the steering wheel. Maybe in the center console, and also you don't really used to adjust it because it's quite dangerous to adjust the number of it, because you will. For example, if you turn off the traction control, your wheel will get spinning if you press the throttle to floor.
So it's dangerous to drive in the rain.
Yes, yeah. And that's why the design of the street car don't put those buttons on the steering wheel, because
Isn't it also illegal to modify your steering wheel?
To modify your steering wheel is illegal, but if you only turn off the traction control or ABS system, it's not really illegal. Yeah, you can turn off it in your car, and also police won't charge anything. But if you change your steering wheel, and if your steering wheel without any airbag, then it will be illegal.
So for those who want to get into racing, what are some usual paths to begin the journey?
And there's actually two main ways nowadays. For the younger kids, they could try out for karting, but unfortunately there's no more karting venues in Hong Kong, so they have to go venture out in mainland China, maybe in Shenzhen, Guangzhou, or Foshan or something. So they'll have to compete in races. Well, they're most mainly hosted by the mainland China associations or other karting associations. So, karting is one of the most
beginner friendly.
Beginner friendly
race.
ways to get into racing.
Yeah. Also, the second one is by the simulator, the racing simulator. Also, a lot of people get into racing by simulator nowadays because if you have watched some review for Max Verstappen, he also mentioned about sim racing help him a lot for racing.
You mean the 4-time world champion in
Yeah,
Formula
yeah,
1?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, he usually play the simulator to training. For example, the past Notch Knife race. The Notch Knife race. He also the champion of the race, and his teammate is also a sim racer. Yeah, not an actual real world driver. So
Yeah, they have never driven a real car, but like on the track, but they just did it on the computer, and they're able to translate the skills onto the track.
They started in sim racing, but not like the conventional way of starting in
Yeah,
karting.
yeah.
So they could start in sim racing and then jump into a higher tier race cars, more like GT4 or maybe
GT3.
Yeah. So they could skip the karting phase and then just jump into a higher tier class.
They can adapt their skills from sim racing
Yeah.
to the real life.
There's a lot of
Skills are
successful.
transferable.
Yes,
and
yes,
there's
yes.
actually a lot of successful examples for like sim racers. They could transfer the skills into real racing.
Yeah, also is one-time payment and the cheapest way for you to get into racing.
It's the most accessible way.
Yes.
Are there
yes.
any like popular simulators that most drivers use?
Don't really have a
Well, for
one single brand. A lot of brand or a lot of different simulator for driver to use because there's a lot of brand or products you can choose. It really depends on which one the driver thinks that, oh, this really suit me and I think that feels good, and then they'll use the one.
That's impressive. From what I know, you don't need a license to do sim racing, right?
Yes. Yeah, actually, even for real life racing, don't really need a driver license for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't?
Yeah, for
because
some.
it's a separate racing license.
Yes.
It's separate from the actual driving license that you have. And it's a racing license that it's issued by the racing the authority of racing in Hong Kong or other places.
Oh, wow. So technically, you can drive really fast on the tracks, but you can't drive on the streets of
Yes,
Hong Kong.
yeah.
That's the case for me. Unfortunately, I still don't have a driving license yet.
Yeah.
But I'm a professional sim racer, so
Yes, and so people, don't be held back by your lack of license. If you still want to do racing, this is your sign.
Yes, even children like 7 years old can also drive a race car. Yes, don't have age limitation on it, and because you don't have to, you don't need the driving license to drive a race car, so you don't have an age limit for it.
Right. And you talked about children being able to drive really early. I wonder why there's not a lot of female racers in the field.
Yeah, it's quite a dangerous question. Yeah, but actually there's a lot of woman driver on the track, but if you're asking the Formula One why there's no Formula One, there's no woman drivers because motorsport is also a sport and which needs your
it's very physically challenging.
yes
Because for when you're driving a Formula One car, when you are traveling in a high-speed corner, your neck might have to like sustain a few G's of forces. constantly.
G-force. Yeah. Maybe I think it's around 5G or 6G. Yeah, in the mid-con, high-speed con, which is hard, even hard to a normal people, like driving a jet, a flight in the air. But if you are driving on the road, even the Formula 1 driver or Formula 2 driver, the new Formula 2 driver get into Formula 1, they can't hold their neck during the race.
Because the force pulling you away from your neck is too big.
Yeah, too heavy to...
There's actually a few examples of women drivers in Formula 2, so it's a one tier lower than Formula 1. So there's a few examples. So
it's quite hard for a woman to compete in the Formula 1, the highest tier of racing.
Well, thank you guys for the amazing insights, and it sounds like the PolyU Racing team is a great opportunity for students with the enthusiasm in racing. So how do we check you guys out?
Actually, we have an IG account and Facebook account. You can search for HK PolyU Racing Team, and you can reach us out, and we'll have recruitment phase at every year. So if you are willing to join, you can follow our Instagram and any other social media, and you can join our team.
Thank you too for introducing us to the world of PolyU Racing. Wishing you all the best in your future competitions, and hopefully Chester gets his license soon.
Hopefully I'll get one.
And thank you our audiences for listening to today's podcast. See you on the next episode.
And see you on the other side.